Gold priced in Aussie dollars breaking $90,000 a kilo for the third time in history. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new short week with the Australia Day holiday in there of insights, brought to you by Ainslie Bullion and the Gold and Silver Standard. It's Monday, so that means Alex is back joining me to talk all things gold today. So how are you going, Alex? A busy start to the week?
Busy start to the week and hopefully a slow end.
That would be the way we'd all be looking for it, I think. Australia Day, then Friday. We'll see what
Friday's
happens.
Friday.
So a great article today. It's always an exciting time for gold holders when we approach or surpass a previous all-time high. I mean, that's really anyone trading gold. That's what you look for. So this, as it said in the article today, is the third time in the last few years that we've really been up there hitting those highs. Can you maybe start off by giving us a little bit of background about those other times so that we can make a bit of a comparison to what's happening this time around?
Yeah, so the first high that we've had recently was the COVID high, which hit around $2,875 an ounce. And that was around August 2020. So after that massive drop in gold around March, because COVID had hit and everyone had worked out that it wasn't going away, the Aussie collapsed, gold collapsed, all the assets collapsed. We know that. And then suddenly everyone wanted to buy gold because it was a, risk off, let's buy gold. And what happened during that period was because it was risk off, gold shot up and the Aussie did not, it sunk in March and it was slowly rising. So it didn't rise at the same rate as gold did. So we saw Aussie gold in particular hit an all-time high then. The second all-time high, a similar thing happened. So that was the Ukraine war. So March 2022, that hit $2,850 an ounce. And again, a similar thing. Gold shot up because of risk off, and the Aussie sunk because there was fear around. So everyone was buying the US dollar. So the third time, there's a little bit of difference. But we still got to, on Friday, nearly 2,800 an ounce, so $75 off the all-time high. Not quite the same action where gold has just been rising very strongly. I think gold US, the high is about $2,087 an ounce. And right now it's sitting at $1,930 an ounce, but obviously the Aussie's down off its high. But what we're seeing and why we're seeing Aussie gold in particular climb at the moment is because even we've got the DXY dropping because everyone's worried the US is going to go into the recession and Fed's going to take it too far. But we've also got Aussie now not rising as strongly with the DXY drop. So there were some graphs today just showing what's happened previously. So you had Euro gold, Yen gold up 20 and 30% this year, and Aussie gold's only up about 16%. I think that's about to flip around where we're going to see more strength with the Aussie gold compared to the other gold trading partners.
So what I'd like to dig into a little bit there is you're talking about Aussie gold potentially starting to look good, right? And the problem that a lot of people will be questioning is if we're approaching or we're right up there really at those all-time highs, as you said, we're within striking distance. Often when you get up around those levels, people start to bail out of the market. They go, well, oh no, it's pretty high because it is historically high. It's an all-time high. Time to take some profit, time to get out. But you're sort of giving me the indication there that you think maybe this time is probably not that's not the case, that we may be closer to the start of this move than the end of this move. So if that's the case and you're sort of thinking, well, it actually does have more legs to it because of the structural things you're talking about, why do you see that as being a little bit different at this stage?
Well, I guess you and I both get a pretty good indication of what's going on in the market just by foot traffic, phone calls, and then just people asking you what they do and then giving you their opinion and asking yours. So I have not heard much lately about Aussie gold being at an all-time high, and it is getting up there. There's no lines at the doors. There's news about all the central banks buying it, but you're not seeing people getting excited about a bull market yet. And really, when it's a bull market, people get excited.
Yep.
I mean, maybe you can share what you've noticed, because you've got the office at Ainslie.
Exactly what you've just said. I actually find it really interesting because as we produce these insights videos, we've been talking a lot recently about things that are very bullish for gold. So often, we're always digging through the news. We're finding things to talk about. But recently, I've been going, wow, this is about as bullish news as you can get, with stuff like China. And when we've been talking, these currency things that you and I have been talking about, there's just a lot there that's really should be seeing the line up out the door. And it's not saying that it's not busy, because it comes and goes, like there's busy periods. But
Yeah.
I remember those other two times that you talked about over the last couple of years, where the lineups in the waiting room, multiple hours people were waiting, and we had extra people on to work through those customers and orders, and we were here back late every day, just really, really busy. And we're not there yet. So not at all anything like that yet. So approaching the highs this time, I kind of agree with you. I actually see it as a really bullish sign, because from my on the ground perspective, we just don't have that fever around it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like, we're talking about what's going on in this particular trade. It's basically risk off, risk off. And Aussie usually sits with gold on the way up and sits with silver on the way up. But the highs have been when there's always been a split. So Aussie down, gold up. Now, right now, that split has not even happened yet. And it's going to happen. Which way it happens, who knows? But usually the split happens on an up, like the Ukraine war and COVID. But that indecision, I got someone to help me write up something on just what happened with the Fed talk this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're still indecisive about what's going to happen. You had Bullard on Wednesday night saying we're going to go basically harder, longer, above 5%. Very bullish. Then on Thursday, you had Brainard come through and reiterated this, saying, they've got to remain sufficiently restrictive to get inflation down to 2%. But then on the weekend, we had Waller, who's another Fed official, say inflation data is a little bit optimistic at the moment, and there's evidence that the Fed tightening was dampening the economic activity, and we're only going to do 25 points. So really, there's so much indecision. No one knows which ways this is going. This is not a definitive market yet. Therefore, if this is, on a bull market, it's a definitive market. You know what's going on.
Yes.
There's something in the market causing it. This is not there yet.
And I think that lines up with what we were just saying as well around sentiment. The fact that it is indecisive means that the sentiment is also indecisive, doesn't it? That's why right. That probably is the explanation for why we don't necessarily have the big lineups out the door of people just climbing over each other to buy, but we still are at the highs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what I'm sort of taking from everything you're saying there is that we've got a lot of upside potential from purely what we've been discussing in terms of sentiment and where everything's sitting at the moment, but also that we've potentially got the double benefit with the Aussie dollar. And that's something I know you like to talk about and dig into, because if we're wrong, right? So you've got to look at it as a two-sided sort of question. So if we're wrong and it turns out that this is just the high and would have been a good time to sell, you probably are going to get buffered a little bit by the Aussie dollar on the way down as well, aren't you?
That's right. The Aussie dollar will just go back down with gold. And then like what happens in a normal market is it's buffered. But, realistically, the indecision right now, that is the more unlikely outcome of where we are, because you and I were talking before about the DXY and the US dollar. It appears to be in a downtrend. There's not much bullishness that the Fed is even able to pump into the market anymore to keep it going up. It appears it's one way from here. Well, that's one way the other way for gold, and it'll give us a definitive answer on the Aussie dollar.
Yeah, I agree with all that, and I've been having conversations with other people as well over the past few days, saying at some point we probably do have to acknowledge that the US dollar is actually in a downtrend, which is what you were just saying then as well. Because when you look at the chart, we were expecting a bounce that hasn't really happened yet. So while it is in that downtrend, it is going to be very good for gold. But we do have that, as we were just talking about, we do have that extra benefit of effectively a bit of a hedge when you've got gold in Australia. We've always been lucky like that generally the Aussie dollar will counteract that move and will buffer you. So it sort of adds extra reason to be really bullish about gold in Australian dollars right now.
That's right. Look, the US data has been stronger than the Aussie data. They will have 2 raises before we have one, and the Aussie's dollar's up 3 or 4 cents in that period. Like, what you've got to ask what the US can do now to actually strengthen their dollar.
Yeah, because it's all there. That's right. Yeah. It's all being done. Well, Alex, as always, thank you for your perspective and your unique understanding of what's going on, because you're right there and understand all of that. So we really appreciate that. Everything gold, you're the person to go to. So thanks also to everyone for watching, and keep those questions and comments coming on social platforms. Alex and we're all over those things, and we'll get back to them if not this week, next week. We'll be back on Wednesday to continue the discussion with the rest of the team. So until then, we'll see everyone later.